Run Pure Sports Monday Night Football Print Factory is live. Yes, I said Run Pure Sports. Anthony Slusser, you're on the list, baby. You're on the list for a potential timeout attacking us like this. It is 3:35. We are on time, as we always are on Mondays and for every show that we do here, because the start time of the show is when we hit click on the live stream. Hope you are all doing well, having a nice weekend. We're here, Big T, JSU, me, a big Sunday for the Run Pure Sports family. Another member of the family joins the Millie Maker Winter Club, Sean Smith, TTU. It was just 6 months ago, Big T, that our guy JBC was telling us that we had to support his shop. He's goes by the nickname Cake Boss in Discord. The shop, I feel bad for the customers. They may be closing down. He doesn't need the shop income anymore. Took down the $20 Millie by quite a good margin yesterday. Congrats to him. A lot of other good screenshots in our Discord. And like I said, we got two games here tonight. Two interesting games. One is a division game. One is not. The reason why I mentioned that, the second games in division have been a little bit less scoring historically. But it is in a dome, Big T. Two games. How was your weekend? What are you looking forward to tonight?
Yeah, I love seeing yesterday how that worked out, because our boy, I'm telling you, during the NASCAR season, this guy was in first place. And if anyone knows NASCAR, you got to wait till the very end, just like Showdown. You got to wait till the last lap. I swear, this guy was in first place at least 3 or 4 races with 2 laps left for 100K or more. Every time took a terrible beat, like horrible. Never complained a single time. And I love stuff like that. I love people that don't make excuses, that don't complain. Took it in stride. Still is one of our best members in the Discord. Like, I just love people like that. I love positivity. I hate negativity. Love positivity. He's got hot. I think he won, a couple 6-figure hits the last couple weeks already. We know how these heaters go. And then yesterday, the Discord just going absolutely crazy for our boy. And gets the Millie. And not only gets the Millie, but wins by like 20 freaking points. And the $20 Millie, just one of the best things that I've seen since we started Run Pure. I absolutely loved it. We went to the UFC in Louisville last year. He's just a great guy. He's great in the Discord. Nothing I like more than when people like that get rewarded for all their hard work and positivity. I believe in mojo. I believe in all that stuff. So he's just – I couldn't be happier for him.
He had a good baseball season too. It seemed every time that, and of course we're playing baseball every day, and I'm like, man, he's always near the top of these contests. So huge congratulations on that. JSU, want to bring you in because it was an interesting day yesterday. A lot of us talked about on the Up to Lock show, the Buffalo Bill Detroit Lions game, and I talked about, DC talked about it. Hey, Jared Goff is going overlooked here in this game with this huge total. Everyone's playing Josh Allen. Goff ended up being my second highest owned quarterback. The Bills, of course, showed that they are down the stretch going to be every bit as volatile as some of these other teams with a lot of weapons. Amari Cooper not getting on the field until the final minutes of the game. We saw James Cook have a big game there. But what are your thoughts? How are you doing on this Monday afternoon?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to Sean. It's so funny too, him hitting the Millie. And I was telling Tony before, I'm like, yeah, this guy. So like the whole time I'm in the Millie. So I see, Run Pure Sports win the Millie. I see Sean win the Millie, right? I didn't put 2 and 2 together though, that he was Cake Boss in the Discord. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. I wonder who this guy is. And I know who Cake Boss is because like I interacted with him a lot, especially best ball season. He was grinding best balls hard. So we would talk a lot. He sent me a few DMs about some stuff with best ball and everything. He's a really nice guy. And then people started adding him in the Discord, like, congrats. I'm like, what did Cake Boss hit? I didn't. And then it hit me that he was the one that won the Millie. So super pumped for him. Really happy that he could get it done. He's a great member in the Discord. Awesome guy. Just to like chat it up with, talk sports. And like you guys said, he plays all these sports. So he's just a really sharp dude.
Too. He doesn't just play him. He plays them well.
And that is one thing about, like, we talk about it all the time. At Run Pure Sports, we have one of the best Discords. One of the best parts about the Discord is that we have a lot of really sharp members, great community in the Discord, guys that are really good players, but that, just are in the Discord. They want to be around other like sharp players and have a good time, not tilt, like Tony said, like tilt their face off, but just have a good time, sweat out the games. And he is exactly that type of member. He's a great dude to have in Discord. And he's a super sharp guy to have in there. So really pumped that he could get that Millie win. I mean, he dominated too. Like even with the bust, and we talk about it all the time, you can win in the Millie with the bust, but like he dominated even with the bust, even with the Ramondre 9. He still won by like 20 points or something crazy like that. So yeah, it just shows you like, the stack. I wasn't high on the Detroit stack. I thought they were going to be able to run the football a little bit more, but then again, Buffalo got up. So it was like a perfect game script for them once Buffalo got up. And then it just kind of spirals. And those Detroit games, they might spiral a lot because that defense, they just keep getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And they're going to have like all guys just like off the street playing for them, going forward, because another 2 guys ended up season-ending injuries for 2 of their defensive. I think it was Carlton Davis and McNeil, the tackle inside. So those are some big losses. And just add it to the list of Detroit defenders. But unfortunately, I wasn't on that game, so I can't talk myself up. I was definitely against it. But hey, he was on it. And shout out to him and whoever else was on it, that they definitely won some money yesterday from the Detroit. And no bring back. No Buffalo guy, which actually Buffalo, it makes a ton of sense because even in shootout games, when you tell me Josh Allen's got 300 yards and whatever, he's still running touchdowns in. Like he's doing the Jalen Hurts from years past, where when they get to that 1 to 2 yard line, they're just pushing his ass in the end zone. They know that 2 to 2 plays of that, they're probably getting in majority of the time. So we're going to keep seeing that because Josh Allen just extends plays. Guys get knocked down at the 1 all the time, and Josh Allen's going to put up big games, but that doesn't always necessarily mean that, certain guys are going to go with him, and that's what we saw in the Millie.
And the Detroit defense a little bit thinner now. Also the offense. They lose David Montgomery, one of Sonic and Knuckles, whichever one he is. Maybe not a terrible thing for DFS because it has been difficult all season long. Which one do you go with? A lot of times it's best to go with none, especially on a big slate. Now
he's got to be Knuckles, JT, right?
What's that?
He can't be Sonic. There's no way in hell he's Sonic.
I'm not sure. I guess he's Nichols. Jeffrey Mosini says he's Nichols. I know
he's Knuckles. He's definitely Knuckles. I'm calling it right now.
I am not one of those grown men that watches cartoons, so
wait a second. Time out. You don't watch Sonic. You don't Sonic the Hedgehog. You didn't like play the video game or what growing up? No, never.
I can't recall ever.
I've never even heard of Knuckles, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
You've heard of Sonic though, right? Please tell me you've heard of Sonic.
I mean, I've seen like he's like a purple guy that like spins and goes fast or something.
Sonic,
he's blue.
like
he's blue. First of all, but
blue?
You mean Sonic the hamburger place? They make
what the fuck?
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of Sonic.
You guys never played like Sega, like the old Sega?
I've never even had a Sega.
Yes, first of all, I was an athlete, and then I had a very
I was an athlete too, but you never played
I was not into playing video games. I was outside running, working out, playing baseball, wrestling. It just didn't.
Get those pecs back in the screen for JSU. You don't get pecs like that without.
Don't start showing pecs to me, baby, because I'll double down. I'll go right back at you.
You're gonna double down,
JT. Don't make me take this sweatshirt off right now.
We're gonna have to have that dip contest. As
JT, hey, I was gonna say JT knows from the last time he posted a video of him doing dips, and I had to one up him. He did 10, so I had to do 11 or something like that.
I also had a fucking 45-pound weight hanging from my waist. Come on.
I did too.
That's not fair. You're half the size of me. Come on.
What do you mean? That should be more impressive. I'm half the size of you.
No, you guys, you little fucks. You can do push-ups all day and night. I mean, I train with you guys. It's like I can run, and they're like, no, I run faster because look, I don't have to haul as much mass around. It's
Well,
very
what are you
hurtful.
talking about? It's if you have
go
longer
back.
legs, then you can run faster than me.
It's definitely not an advantage for me. I will tell you that. All right. Snyder is in here. Vipin is in here. Vipin had some good takes yesterday, but you can still go fuck yourself with the Jets. All right. Let's do. I love him. He knows that. Let's do a little catch up from last week. Okay. No chance Cooper Rush is in the winner. He wasn't in the winner, but 14.82 fantasy points. Wasn't like it was crazy.
Oh my God.
Him.
You gotta get me tilted. I forgot about last week. 14 points. You're gonna act like that was good?
Actually, closer to 15.
Oh my God.
All right. But I'm giving you credit. I'm giving you credit. No chance he was in the winner. He wasn't in the winner. Jonathan Mingo. I'm not done yet. Jonathan Mingo didn't do a fucking thing. CeeDee Lamb and the captain, not a great play, but he was in the winner in the flex, so it is what it is. It is what it is.
It wasn't in the winner is what it was.
Well, I'm giving you the wins. Why don't you win with class and dignity instead of being a sore winner and having to victory lap and dance on
especially because he got so damn lucky for his team to even win, JT. They get the block. They get the block of the century, and then they fucking touch the ball, and then somehow the friggin' Bengals recover it. I still don't get it. I'm still
you know what? It's a Mike McCarthy special. Oh, my God.
They don't ask you how they got there, boys. When you go to cash your ticket, they just give you the cash.
All right. If you have questions, drop them.
Kevin, it's crazy. I don't even know what I'm dealing with right now. I don't even
know.
Not
denying they exist. We just don't know what it is.
I don't even know. How old is JT? I mean, he can't be that old. Look at him. I mean, he looks young. I mean, he can't be that old.
You're trying to butter up to him now. You're trying to
I'm just
and butter up.
Oh, don't worry. It's gonna be 2-on-1 here, Big T. It's gonna be 2-on-1 here. That's what this is. Teams are forming, alliances are forming, and you just attacked me. So I right now am on Johnny's side. So it's
you started the attack because randomly on one.
I wanted to talk about last week.
No, but in the Discord, just randomly out of nowhere, I saw like a Jonathan Mingo post in there. Just ran on like a random. It was like during a basketball slate. You're like, is Jonathan Mingo on tonight?
We were having fun.
We were having fun.
Yeah. All right. We got 400 and
I got a question for you guys. What's tall in your opinion? Because I said fuck tall people, and then was it Kevin K. Reed said like, oh, I'm taller than you or what? I was like, how tall are you? Are you tall? K. Reed?
You got to be over 6 foot to be considered.
He's like,
tall.
I'm 5'9". I said, that's not fucking
that
tall.
That is not even close to tall.
He was like, well, I'm taller than you. He's like, I'm taller than you. I'm like, yeah, but everyone's fucking taller than me. But that's not tall. I don't consider you tall.
5'9" is tall for a woman. 5'9" is tall for a woman.
Yes.
And you're 5'9", you're kind of an Amazon, some might say.
I think average height for a male is like 5'10" or 5'11". That's like average height.
You got to be 6 foot to be considered. I wouldn't even consider that tall, but you got to be at least 6 foot to be in the conversation.
I said 6 foot, 6'1" to be considered like tall.
Yeah. Uncle T is in here with lies.
Wow.
Mangone does not tower.
Mangone is like 5'9". Like this is the bullshit. Like maybe 5'9", 5'8". 5'8", I don't know.
5'6".
I don't know. We've yet to see him. We've yet to see him. He was operating the drones over New Jersey, and then he was down in Nashville. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on. All right. So questions, drop them in the Discord. We'll get to these two games starting now. They say they're like, yeah, I guess 5'9" guys say they plus up about 2 inches, right? Yeah.
I would think so.
All right. First game of the night, 8 o'clock. I love these 2 game slates, by the way, on Monday night. I hope they do them more next year. It's just so much fun. I mean, I don't always win at them, but it is fun to have these 2 game slates on Monday night. First game is a division matchup, second division matchup of the year for the Bears and the Vikings. Bears heading into Minnesota. They are currently 7-point underdogs. It is a 44 total game in a dome. Big T, we'll start with you. Looks like Sam Darnold has some pretty good market numbers here. What are your thoughts on the Bengals? Not the Bengals, excuse me, the Bears.
Another W. You still see, you just needled me just enough to just say Bengals when you didn't like. You did that on purpose. I know you did.
I mean, I really. All right, you know what? If you
Are
think
we
I
going
did,
game by game or positions on two gamers?
what would you like to do? Would you like to do positions?
He always changes it up. I swear to God, JT.
No, I don't. Not on two gamers. I always say positions on two gamers because it's tough to go game by game on two gamers. You got to analyze the
They're
position.
two fucking games.
Exactly. So you,
how is that
analyze the position.
Game 1, game 2, slate done.
I mean,
True.
this just shows you, though, this is, who's boss, though. This is what he wants. Like, he's going to get what he wants. He's going to get what he wants because that's what happens, and we just move on.
All right, so
is this where the 2-on-1 starts? You guys just start hammering me?
No. It's your world. It's your world. We're just living in it. No
now
problem.
You understand why I complain
flip.
all the time, JT. Now you see.
I wrote all these fucking notes for the people, and you know what? You get none of them because Tony wants to go position by position. So we'll go position by position, what he wants. Let's start with quarterback, Big T. There are 4 quarterbacks on this slate, Big T. There could actually be more than 4 quarterbacks, though. You have the announcement earlier today. Desmond Ridder is starting for the Raiders. Aiden O'Connell injured. However, this team is a real train wreck right now. They are on their 5th string running back. Antonio Pierce has talked up I guess what he would be the 5th string quarterback on this team, the practice squad quarterback, saying that he has looked good, but they are going to start Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder looks to be the 2nd most popular quarterback on the slate. He's just 4,800. You've got Sam Darnold as the most owned quarterback. And then, of course, Kirk Cousins, who's looked bad, but maybe gets a real get-right opportunity here against the Las Vegas Raiders. And then, of course, Caleb Williams, who could do a lot with his legs. What are your thoughts here at the quarterback position?
Yeah, it's the opposite of the last 2 gamer we did where I felt like there was no quarterbacks. I forget who the 2 games even were, but I remember I hated the quarterbacks. And this one, I could honestly make a case for also true. I could make a case for all 4 guys tonight, though. I really could. And I could make a good case, I think, for all 4 guys because they all have different things working for them. But just in general, and even to top it, even the flow chart likes 3 of the 4 guys. So it's just good spots tonight for quarterback. So I'm going to base it on what defenses you're going against. And I think by far the best D of the slate is Minnesota. So I think Caleb would be my number 4, even though I've liked him a lot this year. Minnesota is still playing for a lot in this race, especially with Detroit now going down with some injuries. I think the toughest spot of the night defensive-wise has to be versus Minnesota. I mean, Atlanta and Vegas have horrible defenses. Chicago on the road, tough matchup for them. So while I think all 4 quarterbacks are pretty similar based on their price too, obviously if Darnold was as cheap as some of the cheaper guys, then I would just play him. But I think it's pretty close. So I'm literally just going to weight it by who they play. And I think clearly Vegas and Atlanta have the 2 bad defenses of the group. So, and with Darnold being the most expensive, I'm going to lean towards Kirk Cousins and Ridder. And then it comes down to what do you make of Desmond Ridder? The Falcons drafted him. They let him go for nothing. He was horrendous when he played there, as I want to hear JT's take in a minute too about this. But does that help him like being a revenge factor, or does it hurt him that they know how bad he is and all his weaknesses? Is the decision point for me. Honestly, with only a 700 price difference, I'll probably just play Kirk Cousins on my main team. I'll just say it like that. But I could be talked into Ridder just because of the price and if it gets me something. Right now, though, until I hear your guys' take, I'm going to say Cousins 1, Ridder 2, Darnold 3, and I'm going to fade Caleb Williams.
JSU fading Caleb Williams. And again, we're talking about, and I want to bring this up because scoring has been depressed generally in these 2nd divisional matchups of the year. And that's what you have in Minnesota, Chicago. I'll answer Big T's question as someone who watches most of the Falcons games. The memories we have from Desmond Ridder are not positive ones. They're not very good ones at all. And he's not in this spot because the Raiders think they have something or want to see if they have something. They literally signed him in the middle of the season. So he's 4,800. The Falcons defense has been bad, but my goodness, if Desmond Ridder is going to be popular on this slate, then the easy leverage here is to look at the Falcons defense, which of course we won't talk about until we get to that position, JSU. But what are your thoughts on the quarterbacks here?
Yeah, I have very different takes, I guess, than Tony. I think if you
like that
are walking around with a condom, Kirk Cousins is your quarterback. If you just walk around daily and you just have a condom strapped to that thing, then, more power to you. But he's the guy I think has like the least amount of upside of even Desmond Ridder, as crazy as that sounds. And that, even though he sucks, you can't look past the fact that he can run. Yeah. And one thing Kirk Cousins can't do is friggin' run. He is, he's not Aiden O'Connell slow, but he is right next to Aiden O'Connell, and that is saying something that he's that.
He might be slower.
No, dude, no one is slower. Not even Tom Brady. I'm telling you, that tweet I sent, it's facts. That dude is the slowest quarterback I've seen out there. I mean, you're faster than him. Not even close. I 100% believe you're faster than Aiden O'Connell in any race. But yeah, I just don't love the Kirk Cousins play. I think they're going to be up. I think if you're looking for like a Kirk Cousins, shootout game, you'd want him playing more from behind. I don't think the game script's going to set up well. I also think they're going to be able to run the football. So I just don't love how it sets up for Kirk. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't like some of his pass catchers, because I do think, to people's, I know people think this is crazy and stuff, but like a pass catcher can have a good game without the quarterback going nuts. I know it's just, it's a wild thing we live in, but it happens sometimes. So yeah, I'm going to fade Kirk Cousins. I think the quarterbacks with the upside are probably, Caleb Williams, one, because, and this is the reason, it's kind of because he sucks, but he sets his team up in negative game script, or positive game script for him to come back, right? Kind of like how Detroit was set up the last two games they've played, the Bills, last two games they've played, they were either set up or they set another team up to be in a positive trailing script for that team to crush. And that's like what Caleb Williams does. I don't know if you guys watch Bears games, but in the first half, Caleb Williams is dog shit. He is so bad. In the second half of games, he plays a little bit better, a little bit better. And also teams play a little more soft because they're ahead a lot of the time. And garbage time, I don't care how I get my points. And plus Caleb Williams can run. We saw this happen in this exact same matchup the last time they faced each other 2 weeks ago, where Caleb Williams ends up having 29. And I'm telling you, if you watch the beginning of that game, you're thinking there's no way Caleb Williams is ending with almost 30 fantasy points, but he did. It's the same thing with Detroit game. He was the worst quarterback play on that Thanksgiving Day slate, right, Tony? At halftime, how bad was Caleb Williams? I know because you played him. I played him. I locked him on 150 teams. I literally said, he's my quarterback. On 150 teams, I locked him. He had like 3 at halftime. And I was sitting there like, I had my brother laughing at me. I'm sitting there. I'm like, fuck. Nope, he's going to be fine. We're going to get this script in the second half, and he's going to get us there. And he did. He got 26. He wasn't the highest scorer at the end of the day, but he was right up there. So I think he's a good play. I also like that he has running upside. So Kirk Cousins out. I think for me, it's going between Caleb Williams and Sam Darnold and Ridder are like the 3 guys I'm kind of going between. And I'll probably go the 2 runners, Caleb and Ridder, the 2 worst quarterbacks, just because I'm probably going to fade Sam Darnold off the 37-point game where he played, in my opinion, the worst defense in football that I had been saying for weeks. This Falcons defense is so bad. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to be playing the 2 runners and fading the pocket passers.
The only thing I'll say about Ridder is I think there is some volatility there. If he gets off to a bad start, I think you're just not sure what the Raiders are going to do. But to your point, the Falcons defense has been so bad that it's possible that he doesn't get off to a bad start. It's possible that they have a good first couple of drives, and maybe then he at 4,800 allows you to fit some of the guys that we're going to talk about in the next two positions, which are running backs first. JSU, will stick with you. Aaron Jones and Bijan Robinson looks like this is an absolute just beautiful spot for him, both receiving the football as well as rushing the football. Aaron Jones looks to be a little bit popular here. He is, I mean, look, it's 2-game slate, but the carries have been volatile. The usage has been volatile. He's had a couple of good games. Then you've got Sincere McCormick, who is now, at least for now, the Raiders' starting running back. Of course, you have a couple of other guys with the Raiders that may actually see the field. Just depends on how he does. And then you've got DeAndre Swift, who may or may not play. I don't think it's been announced if he's going to play here. He had some missed practices and some limiteds in practice. And then the backups, Tyler Algier, Cam Akers for the Vikings. All these guys kind of come into play a little bit just because it's a 2-game slate if you're playing a lot of lineups. But where are you looking here? I mean, I'm going to assume that you're going to go heavy, if not locking Bijan Robinson. But what are you going to do other than that?
Yeah, and I just want to be clear, like the quarterback thing, the last thing I'll say is I think Sam Darnold's like the safest. If you just said like, who's the one who I think gets you like 18 to 20, I think it would be Sam Darnold would be like the most likely guy to hit that. I think everyone else has like a much lower floor, but I think, some of them have decent ceilings. So that's kind of my take at quarterback is like, if you're looking for safety, I just don't know why you wouldn't play Darnold over Cousins. Cause I think I think everything's better with Darnold. Like, I think the passing game's just better in general. His wide receivers are better. I don't know. So just to finish that off, but running back for me on this slate, I definitely like both Atlanta, and this is another reason why I don't like Cousins. I like both Atlanta running backs. I think both Bijan and Tyler Algier are both pretty good plays here. This is a spot in Vegas. I would expect Atlanta to use both these guys. I would expect them to plan to use these guys here in an idea that, they're facing a lesser team. These are the games too, where if they get up, you're going to see Plotter Algier probably get even more touches than what we're normally seeing. Like normally gets like, between like 6 and 9. I could see even double digit rushing attempts, between like 10 and 12. And in those games where he's getting, that type of volume, he's normally getting multiple chances to score on top of it. So he's not the greatest, but I think he's got a path to double digits, and he's 4,400. So I like both running backs from Atlanta a ton. Sincere McCormick, I talked about how bad Atlanta's defense is, so I think he's definitely in play just because I think Atlanta's defense is the worst on the slate. And, outside of that, you've got Swift and Aaron Jones, and Swift has just been really disappointing the last few weeks. They don't have many running backs. It's a bad matchup for Swift. So if he gets there, I think it's in the passing game, but I just don't know if I see it. Like, I think I'd rather Aaron Jones. So if I had to rank them, I like the Atlanta guys. One, JT, I like both of them. I think you can play them both together. And then it'd probably be Jones, McCormick, Swift. But I think Swift's upside on DraftKings specifically in the passing game is probably a little better than McCormick. I'm just more looking at matchup over that type of like pass catching upside. So yeah, I mean, running backs, not the greatest position. I think wide receivers, people are going to love the wide receivers, but a couple of these, I could see like only 2 running backs hitting the winner though.
Big T thoughts here on the running backs. You've got Bijan and then Aaron Jones as pretty popular. Sincere McCormick rounding that out as well. But I think Tyler Algier is in the mix here. He's got certainly interesting touchdown props. If you look at things like that to determine who's going to have an opportunity to put up some points, what are your thoughts here, though, overall on the position?
Yeah, I think running back's the easiest position of the night just because there's not any options. Like, I can't play Swift. He's just been so bad, and the matchup's tough. I can't play the Raiders guys. I mean, you could play McCormick, but again, on this slate, at least in my opinion, with how many receivers can get 15 to 20, I think you're going to need 15 to 20 from all your positions. Like, because obviously Bijan, you're assuming he's going to get it. Aaron Jones should get somewhere in there. So you're going to need, like, if McCormick gets like 11, I just don't think that's going to be good enough tonight. So, yeah, if you're playing 150 teams, which I'm assuming a lot aren't on this slate, you can add more guys in there. But if you're playing 1 to 3 to 5 teams, I just think running back super easy. You just play Bijan and you play Aaron Jones and you move on. But if somehow Swift is out or limited, I think you can play. I mean, I like Travis Homer anyways, actually, just because he's 4K and Swift is such an unknown. I mean, Travis Homer's always been a pass catching guy. He could catch 7, 8 balls in a trailing script to where I would actually put him 3, but I'm not usually this cut and dry on running back on a 2-game slate. I usually like to take chances. Like, I'm not playing Algier, definitely not playing Algier. So that'll be the disagreement, I guess, there for me. But I agree with the other stuff. Just play Bijan, play Aaron Jones. And for me, Travis Homer's the only other guy I'm even considering.
Travis Homer.
And if he's somehow, what do we do if Swift's out is the question. Like, does Homer become a lock?
I don't know.
No, because I think they would use Homer more as the third down back anyways, and they would.
Who would get like a bunch of the work then?
It would be what's that kid? Evans.
Harrington Evans.
Darrington Evans, I think.
He's like a pass catcher too, isn't he? Oh, just play Bijan and Aaron Jones. I'll go back to the original point.
I think I would think.
I also think you're Caleb Williams running a lot too, and that's
you're gonna see more passing attempts in that case, which is possible because we don't know if he's going to play.
It makes more sense for Caleb in that scenario too, if that were to happen. And I kind of like your take on McCormick because if you're going to need him to get you probably like 15, right?
That's my number in my head. I think you need 15 from a lot of these like flex type guys.
And he would take away from Ritter because that's another thing too. You got to add Ritter's rushing upside when they get down there too. You know, like with Aiden O'Connell, you never have to really worry about Aiden O'Connell pulling the ball out of the running back's belly and, you know, taking it for 6 on his own. That's something you got to worry about with Ritter a little bit more because
Ritter takes off, that ball's coming out of his hands. I mean that's it. I think there's so much volatility with Ritter.
Yeah, but you don't think at the goal line he could pull the ball out and
you know how many fumbles I've seen? It's not so much that
I'm not saying he won't fumble.
It's not so that's it. It's not so much that he won't try.
How are they going to get to the goal line?
I mean, Atlanta's defense is putrid.
It's so bad.
It's very possible.
I know Desmond Ritter sucks. I know that's what everyone's saying in their head too.
We'll talk about the pros and cons of the Falcons' defense when we get to defense.
By the way, how scripted is the NFL? There's no way anyone can sell me anything other than Desmond Ritter. He just happens to be
the eyebrows up to you.
He just happens to be starting against his old team, the Atlanta Falcons. Like, come on, people, this is crazy. This is some crazy
JT's
shit.
eyebrows went way up.
I'm just all right. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting
it. I'm sorry. I can't help myself.
It's
crazy.
All right. Okay. Let's talk about the wide receivers, Big T, because if running back is very simple and clear cut, the wide receivers here, there's a bunch of them to choose from. You've got Drake London, who looks to be the highest owned as of right now. Jacoby Myers, a close second. Then you've got the Chicago guys, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Justin Jefferson, who's fantastic. Jordan Addison has been having a really good season. You got Darnell Mooney. What are your thoughts here at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, it's really interesting to me just because I like to look at the flow chart like I always do, but especially on shorter slates where maybe you can get some sort of edge on the field just by finding some matchup stuff. But so the worst matchup, by far the worst matchup of the night is Justin Jefferson, at least according to my stuff, where the Bears are pretty good against wide receiver ones, especially guys like Jefferson. I just think with him being the most expensive, by a lot, and it's a tough matchup, and he struggled a little this year. He's the guy I want to get lower on, and that makes it pretty interesting when, I mean, he'll be just the usual 50% or whatever, 45, 50%. So I like to just play matchups. And to me, Atlanta is just – that's another reason I like Cousins, I guess, because Drake London, Mooney, and Ray is like surprisingly really good, which leads me – that was kind of the running back debate for me at flex. Do I like Ray more or one of those running backs? And you just look at Ray, he just crushes. Like, he's just good. He's just always open, and Mooney's always open. And against this defense, and JSU always knows, I just like playing two receivers with my quarterback, and I can play two of these three really easy with Cousins. I could be talked into, after you guys were talking, though, Caleb, I could still play Caleb with even two of these guys, because the other guys I like are these Bears guys. DJ Moore might be my favorite of the night. He's starting to get a little bit more chemistry. He's due for an eruption, too. And I feel like versus this Minnesota defense, I think it's an eruption spot. More for him than the other two, because the other two, I mean, Keenan's fat. He's a possession guy now. I don't like him as much in this spot. Rome, I like Rome probably even less than him. But DJ Moore at 5,800, I mean, he's got to be probably my favorite play of the night. I mean, he's just a really good play. So I love the Atlanta guys, the Chicago guys. The Minnesota guys are where I'm going to be lower on. It kind of leads me, I didn't talk about it in running back because running back's easy. But the Minnesota side, I'm just playing it as Aaron Jones night. I'm just playing it. Aaron Jones gets all the work, scores the touchdowns, takes away from these receivers, who I love. Jordan Addison, JSU had him as the play of the week last week, crushed. I love Justin Jefferson. I love these guys, but I'm just assuming by script that they're going to run it with Aaron Jones, win on the ground, and I might not even play any of these Minnesota receivers, which has got to be a hot take. And then the Vegas receivers, I won't play much Trey Tucker or Marshall, but Jacoby gets so much volume, like we talked about. I want 15 from all my guys tonight, 15 or more, and Jacoby's just that guy. He's just – it is a little worrisome how bad the quarterback play is going to be, like JT's saying. But, I mean, he's going to get so much volume. He's 5,700. I like Jacoby Myers. So it really only leaves me – how many is that? You got the 3 Atlanta guys, basically 1 or 2 Chicago, and 1 Vegas. I mean, I'm down to 5 or 6 receivers. My player pool is getting narrow already.
Well, I think I mean – not to keep harping on Desmond Ridder, but in last week's matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you had Aiden O'Connell, who'd at least been with the team for a while, and they couldn't do anything against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. And now you get a defense that's arguably maybe slightly worse, but I do worry significantly about Desmond Ridder. He is just, like I said, the memories of him at playing quarterback were not good, JSU. What are your thoughts here?
Though, like before you go to Jay, like it's just the volume from Myers. Like these targets are insane. Like
Ridder could get replaced at halftime. So like Ridder
do we know like what were the numbers first half, second half when he came in? Do we know that?
He was replaced quite a bit when he was a Falcons quarterback, whether it was due to fumbles or due to interceptions or due to I mean, he
literally can't throw. He
is a bad quarterback. He is like the ownership numbers I'm seeing on him. It's not for me. I don't know if I'm
what college did he? Let's play the what college did he go to game?
Listen, it was not a good draft pick. I'm not sure he went to a Power 5. Pretty sure he didn't. We'll have to look that up.
Tony knows that I don't know this answer, but I'll do it anyways. Arizona State.
You just thought out. Cincinnati. They went undefeated with Cincinnati. They went undefeated. It almost won the title. Well, they didn't almost win.
He almost won the title?
They got waxed once they got there, but they were undefeated.
Oh, my God. I was about to say, holy shit. That's crazy.
All right.
That is why I don't watch college football right there.
He was bad, too, at college.
That's so bad. Tell me that team was, like, amazing everywhere else. Like, please don't.
Yeah, they weren't amazing. I think they had another NFL guy on it too, though.
Wow. That's crazy.
I'm going to look up some Desmond Ritter stats. The one
You won't find much.
no, the ones that are out there are bad. But let me also point this out about Sincere McCormick is that Antonio Pierce has been talking up this guy. He said during the week that he got to 15 rushes last game out. We want him to get more. We want to see if we can get him to 100, meaning 100 yards. You've got a shitty quarterback against a terrible run defense. You may want to rethink what you're doing with Sincere McCormick here because
why do we think their run defense is so bad?
I've watched the Falcons play.
I just think their defense as a whole is really bad. I prefer picking on their secondary, but I don't think they're amazing against the run.
Well, I don't think they're amazing by any means, but I also don't think Sincere McCormick's very amazing either.
No. But if he's going to get
what it is, though, Antonio Pierce is just trying to find his David Montgomery. He's trying to copy a little bit of the Dan Campbell thing. He's trying to find those football players like David Montgomery who play through almost everything. Obviously, the knee injury completely took him out, but David Montgomery's late. How many times this year have we seen guys like David Montgomery like go out with an injury and then just come back? Like fully think he's done. He takes his pads off and then the second half he just comes back in. It's just
ain't coming back wild. This time.
Yeah, he's not coming back. Damn it.
The Cincinnati team is pretty sick that the chat's talking about. Sauce Gardner, Kobe Bryant, Alec Pierce. That's why they went undefeated.
They had Kobe Bryant on that team? They had Kobe Bryant on that team? Shit. I like him. All right. So we were talking wide receivers.
You're talking wide receivers, Jess. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm 100% on board with Tony was talking about the Minnesota guys. It went from like the best spot ever for these Minnesota pass catchers to one of the, in my opinion, worst spots for especially like Justin Jefferson. So I'm going to be lower on Jefferson. I do think that you can play guys like we didn't get the tight ends, but like Hawkinson's a pass catcher. Like I do think you can play someone like him, but yeah, lower on Jefferson. Would much rather, like, if I were to play someone, I would rather Addison, but I'm probably going to be lower on him too, just because he's coming off this crazy game and everyone's going to want to be on him. Honestly, the sneaky guy is probably playing a little Jalen Nailor at 3,200 that no one's going to play. I think that's like the sneaky wide receiver play. And we've seen him, catch a few touchdowns this year. I know they were earlier in the year, a lot of them, but he still has like 5 touchdowns this year. And actually, his last touchdown was against Chicago. Now, he didn't do much else. That's the one thing that sucks about Jalen Nailor, but he's 3,200. So I think he's sneaky. You could kind of keep in your pool, especially if you're playing that $20 pretty much lotto, tournament on DraftKings. I think you keep him in there. But I love what he was saying about the Bears guys, except when he called Keenan fat, when Keenan is like the best wide receiver play on the slate and he called him fat. I mean, come on, man. Look at that guy. That's peak health right there. That is just absolute. I mean, JT, you're a gym guy. Look at Keenan Allen and tell me he's not working on his pecs and just in perfect shape. I mean, seriously. That's my horse tonight.
He's in perfect shape. He's in perfect shape. Maybe not to be a wide receiver in the National Football League. But he is in perfect shape for others. However, to your point, JSU, he's got those soft hands, man.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't need to be super fast. He's smart. He knows where to kind of sit in the middle of those zones. Through the middle of the field, he's going to get like 8 catches. Tony called him fat too. So Keenan, if you're out there, Keenan's cousins, your uncle, if anyone's listening to this show that's related to Keenan Allen, please text him. Big T called him fat and to shove it up his ass tonight because that's what Keenan's about to do.
I wish I could play him at tight end.
All right. We're going to get to the tight ends here. This is how volatile the quarterback has been with the Raiders. Desmond Ritter's actually played in 3 games since signing. He came into the Bengals game because they were getting wiped. He came into the Broncos game because they were getting wiped, and then he replaced Aiden O'Connell last week. He does have 1 touchdown on the season. So in 3 games, 1 touchdown. And then last year, 2023, the year he played the full season, 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Now, that was not for a very good Falcons team, but there is opportunity there for 4 interceptions. All right. Let's go, JSU. We'll stick with you. Tight ends. Obviously, Brock Bowers is on this slate. Only question for Bowers is what the quarterback play is going to be like. Does Desmond Ridder throw a ball that sends Bowers to the hospital? Because that's what also he's known to do. You've got TJ Hawkinson, Cole Kmet, Kyle Pitts. Been a little bit rough for Kyle Pitts recently. He's priced down. And then Michael Mayer coming out of nowhere for the Las Vegas Raiders to have. I think he was in the optimal lineup last main slate last Sunday. What are your thoughts here at the tight end position? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people on the Brock Bowers train. And from a defensive matchup standpoint, you really can't argue it.
No, I mean, you can't. The only way you can argue it is Desmond Ridder sucks. And you know, of course, we all get it and stuff like that. But, you brought up Michael Mayer, and he ran 28 routes last week. 28 routes. That's 68% of the routes overall for the team. That was 4th most, only to Brock Bowers, Trey Tucker, and Myers. That's a ton of work right there. And then after him, it's the running backs. So Amir Abdullah got 16 routes. Sincere McCormick got 10. The next wide receiver or tight end that got anything was Terrace Marshall with 8. They want these 2 tight ends in there a lot. And I mean, obviously, they throw to these tight ends a lot with Brock Bowers. I totally get it. And Michael Mayer is not bad. Like he's not terrible, especially though if he's playing like, Brock Bowers is the slot receiver and Michael Mayer is the true tight end, which is kind of what they're doing. I mean, Brock Bowers ran 60% of his routes out of the slot. That was the most of anyone on the team. So, I think if you're playing a pass catcher from the Raiders, it would be a tight end. Even though I don't mind Desmond Ridder and playing Desmond Ridder, the one thing I do struggle with is paying up for his options because I feel like the way Desmond Ridder gets there at quarterback, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I just think it's running. I think it's rushing. You know what I mean? I don't think he's throwing for 303. I just don't see that happening. So
you're fading Jacoby Myers. You're not playing Trey Tucker.
I don't like Jacoby Myers. I would be fine with Trey Tucker just because he's cheaper. But how does Jacoby Myers get there? He's a possession guy. You know what I mean? Like that's how he gets there. That means I have to trust Desmond Ridder to just volume the shit out of him. And I don't know, even though I'm going to play a little bit, I just don't know how much. So he's probably the guy I'm lowest on, JT. If I had to like rank them, I'd have the tight ends, even though Brock Bowers is kind of like that too, but I would have the tight ends, 1, 2, and then I probably have Trey Tucker and then Myers. I can't say I won't have any just because I'm going to have very little of Minnesota. So if I start mixing out too many teams, I'm not going to have any wide receivers left.
You play somewhere, right?
I got to play some wide receivers, and I don't really like the running backs either. And that goes back to my kind of script where even though I was lower on Kirk Cousins, I actually like his receivers, as crazy as it sounds, because a lot of his receivers, they can get there on volume. You know what I mean? Like Ray McLeod without a touchdown can get you 14, 15. So can't Darnell Mooney with a couple big plays. Drake London can volume it up. So I think even though I don't like Kirk Cousins, I actually like his pass catchers a good amount just because of that reason. But from the tight end perspective, I definitely am going to play some Michael Mayer. I think TJ Hawkinson's okay at 4,800. I'm probably not going to get a ton of Cole Kmet, but I'm going to leave him in my pool just because I have Caleb in my pool. So he's just kind of fit there. And I think those are my tight ends. I'm probably not going to play much Kyle Pitts. But, I'm going to be playing more of the receivers for Atlanta. So the tight end I'm probably going to be out on because I'm not playing Kirk. And then, I like all these other cheap guys, I'm probably not going to get much of. either like Josh Oliver and stuff like that. They're just not running enough routes, you know what I mean, to get me over the top with these guys. But if you're playing 150, I could see you throwing them in there and just hoping and praying that maybe tight end no one does anything good, and somehow Josh Oliver goes 2 for 28 with a touchdown, and that's in the winner. So yeah, the three guys I like the most though are Mayer, Hawkinson, Bowers, and then like Cole Kmet would be fourth.
I've got a question for you, but I want to ask it when we get to defense, just because something that you said kind of made me think of the way that you're looking at one of these games. Iron Mitch Snyder bringing critical information for tonight's slate. We thank you for that contribution, Snyder. We appreciate that. Big T. M. Westlake asks, why can't Myers get there on volume? Trusting Desmond Ridder for volume is dicey. It is a 2-game slate, though. What are your thoughts here at the tight end position?
Yeah, it's another spot that just feels cleared. I'm either going to win a lot tonight or finish last because it seems so simple to me, this slate. And honestly, I have the smallest player pool I think I've ever had on a 2-game slate. I think when we get to the end of the night, I'm not saying it'll be a solo winner with these teams, but I think when you look at the winner on this 2-gamer, you're going to be like, man, that team, I could have built that team tonight. It's one of those teams where it's just, I just feel like it's cut and dry to me. And my number one for sure is TJ Hawkinson. Him and Aaron Jones are my guy from Minnesota. He's all the way at the top of the flow chart. I don't want to play the receivers because the receivers are a bad matchup. I think Chicago can be got through the tight end, and I love the price point, 4,800. What better? We've been waiting for a Hawkinson explosion a couple times. He's been good in a few games, but I think we could see a real nice game tonight. And on top of it, Brock Bowers checks out as a bad play tonight. Like, just as far as matchups, Atlanta's been decent against tight end. And don't get me wrong, I don't want people to Brock Bowers is a good play. Just like Justin Jefferson is fine if you want to play him. These guys are stars, they're studs. But it's a 2-game slate. You gotta pick and choose some spots. So I think it's TJ Hawkinson, it's Kyle Pitts. Even though I don't like Kyle Pitts that much, he just never gets the volume. I still like the matchup versus Vegas. I don't know how much I'll play just because he's only 900 cheaper than Hawkinson, but he would be my 2. I agree with you guys. I don't need punts on this slate with how cheap it is. So I'm not playing Oliver. I'm not playing Warner, Kmet. I'm not really using him in that because I like Chicago's receivers. I think that's why the slate comes together for me. It's like all the positions line up where I need them to line up. The tight end that I need fits, receivers. It's just one of those slates that works for me. So I like it. So I'd rank my tight ends Hawk 1, Pitts 2, and I'd actually put Mayer. I think Mayer is not as much of a drop-off from Bowers as people think he is. I think he's super talented. He had some issues personally to start the year. Last year, everyone liked him. Obviously, Bowers is way better. I'm not saying they're not separation, but 6,600 and 50% owned or 3K and 10% owned, I don't think there's that much separation between the two. So I'd rather go Mayer, I think, than Bowers tonight. And I think that's super contrarian.
You're not concerned a little bit that Hawkinson's upside has been capped by the use of Josh Oliver?
I do.
They have one in there as well.
I think the upside's capped, but tight end actually is the one position on the board that I don't think you need as much as the other positions. I think if he gets me 12 to 15, I think I'm in good shape. And that goes for even if Bowers gets more than that, just because of the price difference. I am worried about upside, though, to answer your question. I don't think he's going to go insane or something. I agree with that.
JS, your thoughts here on the tight end position? Bowers easily going to be the highest owned. Hawkinson then next. Kyle Pitts at 3,900, his lowest price point. He hasn't been a guy who's gotten a lot of targets. He's a guy that's been frustrating for DFS since his rookie season, but he is at his lowest price point, 3,900, in a matchup against the Raiders that is at least exploitable. What are your thoughts here at tight end?
Yeah, well, like I said, Brock Bowers is legit. He's not a tight end; he's a slot receiver. That's what he's playing right now. So Michael Mayer is the true inline tight end, and Brock Bowers is a slot receiver. So the matchups, I think a little different than just a straight true tight end. And we've seen the slot receiver beat up Atlanta. We saw, old lad go for, he had like 100 yards at halftime, I think. He didn't really do much after that, but I think he went like 9 for 117 or something. So, yeah, the problem
Justin
is the
Herbert
price
was
tag.
throwing to him, not Desmond Ritter.
That's a good point too. That's a good point.
Is there a slight drop off there? There's the slightest of drop off.
There is. And I do agree with Tony. Like TJ Hawkinson probably is the best tight end overall. And since I'm lower on the receivers, I'm going to be higher on him. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with him a little bit on that. And Michael Mayer, I'm going to say like those are the 3 guys that I'm probably going to have the most of. And I could play some 2 tight end builds. Like I could see myself having some just because I won't have a ton of 3 running back builds. I won't say none just because I'm going to have a few teams with Algier and Robinson and maybe Aaron Jones just because I could see the path. But for the most part, I'm going to have more 4 wide receivers or 2 tight ends. So,
JSU, let's get to defense. And this is where the question I had, just listening to what you're saying and how you're talking about how these games play out. You've talked about something that is a philosophy that I follow a lot, which is I hate playing these guys when they come off ceiling performances in easy matchups, which describes exactly what the Vikings are coming in. Again, you've got the second divisional matchup. It almost sounds here like you think the Bears could pull this game out. Sounds like the way you're playing this is you think the Bears have a decent shot to pull the upset.
Well, yeah, I do think the Bears, especially at what's the line, like 7 right now or something like that, 7.5. I don't think it's a terrible bet at all. So the way I'm looking at it though is more just like I think people just pull up the box scores though, and they're just like, oh, Sam Darnold put 5 touchdowns last game, put 5 touchdowns on Atlanta, 37 fantasy points, and oh, Justin Jefferson caught 2, and oh, Jordan Addison caught 2, and it's like, well, fuck it. Like this is the easiest stack of all time. And I'm just going to jam these guys. And it's like, man, that doesn't even when a quarterback does throw like 4 touchdowns, JT, how many times do you see like multiple guys catch 2 touchdowns? Like that shit doesn't happen very often. So for me, yeah, I think it's a tougher spot. I think there could be a little bit of a letdown off. I could see a letdown offensively just in general from that. I could see them use Aaron Jones more in this spot against Chicago. Like, I think that was more game planned out against Atlanta because they knew that secondary and they had Justin Jefferson and they knew that this was something coming in. They watched film and said, like, this is how we're going to beat this team. I don't think that's what they're going to do here. And that's just my opinion. Could be totally wrong. So, yeah, that's what I believe. And I'm going to fade the 40 balls. So you need Pitts for 40. Do you have the combined rest of the season for him to get that 40, or do you just have tonight? Because if you just have tonight, you're in trouble, my friend.
I wanted to be nice. I mean, he's a viewer. He may be a subscriber. Yeah. He's a potential subscriber anyway, because this is a free show, Matthew. There's always hope as long as there's a game. As long as he gets on the field, you never know what is going to happen. JSU, talk to us, though, about defenses. You've got the Vikings that are going to be clear, far and away, the highest owned defense on this slate. We've seen them, as you talked about. They're an enormous pass funnel. They started off the season hot, not so hot since then. What are your thoughts here at defense? Looks like the Bears coming in at just 2,300 as the second highest owned defense.
Yeah, it kind of makes a little sense, I guess, even though like salary's not super needed on this slate. You know, for me, the Vikings, I'm going to play the Vikings. It's just more how I play them. I'm going to play them with Caleb Williams because honestly, that's another way where Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Sam Darnold lose out in some production, right? Pick 6 to the house, fumble to the house. It sets up Caleb Williams in that trailing script that we're talking about. That's what we want, right? So it's literally what I want. If you're playing Caleb Williams, I think it's literally what you want is that to happen. So I think Minnesota's D makes a ton of sense with Caleb Williams. I think I'm not going to play much Minnesota without Caleb, though. So that's kind of my take on defense in general. So if I'm playing some Caleb Williams teams, then I'm probably going to look more to, as crazy as this is to say, but the Falcons against Desmond Ridder. It's like same thing applies, right? Like Desmond Ridder's not a good quarterback. I never said he was a good quarterback. I don't think Caleb Williams is a good quarterback. That don't mean I can't play them in fantasy. If you want the best quarterback, play Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's the best quarterback, the safest quarterback play on the slate. He's probably the best. The way he's playing right now, he's probably the best of all these guys. But I just think the upside in the script is more what I'm going to play for, just like we saw with Jared Goff and before that with Josh Allen. I know those are good quarterbacks. I'm not comparing them. I'm just saying the script is more the game, the way it kind of unfolded. And hoping we get one of those games where it kind of spirals like that. And I could see one of these games completely dudding and one of these games going nuts where it was just like an overload stack from one side where only like one or two guys was needed from the other game to kind of hit the winner. So yeah, that's the way I'm looking at defense. I guess the Vikings and Falcons, and then I'd probably have the Bears third and the Raiders fourth is how I'd rank it.
Bears third, Raiders fourth. Sam Darnold has had some bad games in some surprising spots this season. So the potential, of course, is there. Big T, question from Adam G. Any Travis Homer love? You said you liked him a little bit here, particularly if DeAndre Swift is ruled out of this game. I think you'll have some even if he's in. But what are your thoughts at defense?
I really like Travis Homer too, just to cap that up. Even if Swift's in, especially I like what JSU just said, because in these two gamers, if you really want to hammer one of the games, you can get a massive edge when the other game's just low scoring. And I could see one of these games just totally outscoring the other one, because both of these games are somewhat capable of snowballing. I mean, even though I really like Atlanta, their defense is horrible, like you guys are saying. Maybe it just snowballs, and you got guys with volume on Vegas like Bowers and Myers in the running game like you guys were talking about. So if you want to stack up a game, I love the idea of playing Homer in a stack like that. Like say you want to stack the Atlanta game, you play Homer in a stack like that. But defense, the more I hear you guys talk about Ridder, the more I want to play Atlanta's defense. It just makes too much sense. They're horrible, but they're still playing for something. Ritter's so bad. And every other spot you're going against a somewhat capable quarterback. I mean, Cousins makes a lot of mistakes, but Vegas's defense, Darnold's made mistakes, but I don't know. It's just a clear spot for me. So I like Atlanta's defense. I'll be honest.
Any other defenses that interest you? Or are you playing
Minnesota? I would play Minnesota if I wasn't, but I'm just going to play Atlanta's though. I'll be honest. I'm just going to, even if I stack the Atlanta game, I might still play Atlanta's defense just because of what can happen. He can do a dumb play, but then march a few drives. A lot of weird stuff can happen with Desmond Ridder. So even if I play a stack of that game, I still am going to play Atlanta's defense.
Listen, it only takes one play for your defense to end up being the nuts. It really doesn't. You don't need a ton on two games. We're talking about 2-game slate. So that's 4 defenses. You do not need that much for your defense to hit the winner. And honestly, a lot of times it's not the actual best defense that hits. That's what people need to understand. The actual best defense very rarely hits makes the winner. And that's what tilts people a lot about defense in general, is that it's just so unpredictable. You know what I mean? Like there's just nothing you can look to be like look at it. Like the Chiefs defense was the best defense, I think, this past Sunday.
Yep.
But Denver's defense was the winner.
Yep.
That's just the way. And I thought Denver's defense was really good too, but I'm just saying I'm just saying though, that if you watch the 2 games, the Chiefs defense I thought was more dominant than the Denver defense, just overall.
Yes.
But that was the winner. So
they gave up a late touchdown, and that was the difference. David St. Real Estate is here. We know him from the past. We welcome him. Someone who was in here, Puig is in here. Puig is in here. That's our guy who was asking our questions. And then let's talk. Everyone's talking about Kirk Cousins, his interceptions versus touchdowns. Here's his last 3 games, guys. At Denver, which is good for almost nobody, right? Home
except for Jameis Winston.
Sure. Yes. Home against the Chargers. They looked terrible yesterday, but they played a pretty good game. And then at
shout out to the Bucks, super underrated football team.
Yeah. Who the Falcons are trying to catch now. Seems unlikely based on rest of season scheduling. Okay. Let's talk about a bold call here. JSU, a bold call. I mean, you've made a bunch here, so I guess, and you can answer our guy, Dad Ferrari, but also then a bold call.
Like you said, I think I made a few bold calls, but I'll just pick one in a second. Best ball teams right now. I got a few actually looking pretty good. I think on DraftKings right now, we still have 2 games left. So I think I got 8 advancing in the Millie right now. But that could change. I think on a couple of them, I'm like rooting for Kyle Pitts. And on a couple of them, I'm rooting against Kyle Pitts hitting a certain number. So that's kind of interesting. And then in one, it's like I'm rooting against, I think, Aaron Jones and Darnell Mooney. So there's a couple that are still super live. And then I've got a few in the 100 in the 250 that I'm either placing in or in second or third and need a couple points from, I think it's Kyle Pitts and or Aaron Jones tonight. So best ball looking all right actually as we go too. So I didn't have a lot of Saquon. I had almost no Saquon too. So I kind of hit the luck with him busting this week and getting lucky there. Even though I will say in a lot of my pods, I didn't see many Saquon teams. Like in all of my pods that I was in personally, there was one Saquon team max in all of them, which I thought was crazy. So yeah, I must just have got lucky with the spot.
It's a good spot then moving forward because the way the Eagles are situated, they may not have to ride Saquon here to get.
Yeah, and a lot of those Saquon teams, I would assume, completely busted because they were running back heavy, and the wide receiver heavy teams are the teams that are right now just absolutely nutting, unless we never know. Maybe Bijan tonight goes for 3 touchdowns and Aaron Jones goes for 2 and the running back teams kind of shoot up. But yeah, it's definitely interesting right now. So bold call on this slate. So I'm going to say that we have 2 Atlanta receivers on the winner without Kirk Cousins, plus an Atlanta running back, at least of the 2. So I'm going to say that there's 2 pass catchers plus a running back from Atlanta that are on the winner without Kirk Cousins being in the top even 2 quarterbacks played. So that's that'll be my bold call. So 2 of Ray, Darnell, Mooney, and Drake. And then 1 of the running backs, either Tyler Algier or Bijan in the winner.
Big T, bold call for you. You've pretty much said you've got a narrow player pool. You think you see pretty clearly how these games are going to play out. What do you got?
Yeah, it's one of those slates where I don't think I have any total shocking takes, but I think the biggest shocking thing, I guess, would be at least it kind of goes with JSU's too, honestly, except with Kirk Cousins. But I think we see a overstack of Atlanta for sure end up in the winner with Bijan, 2 receivers, maybe even 4 pieces total, plus Kirk Cousins, 5 Atlanta on the winner tonight. I just think Atlanta is going to really push it tonight. And the more I look at it, I'm going to put in another team, I think, and stack up that game and go. It looks too good to me. So I I feel good about tonight, though. I like how these teams are pretty concentrated. I don't think any weird, like, no-name guy ends up on the winner tonight. I think the winner is going to be very obvious when we look at it. Not saying we'll have it, but I think whoever the winner is,
think it's going to be chopped?
I think it'll be chopped, but sometimes it's surprising when it happens, though. Sometimes, like, you look at it, and it might not be solo, but maybe it's like 5-way or something, and there's no, like, weird guys in there, and you're like, how did I not have that? Yeah. Maybe it's like Drake London's not on there, and it's like Mooney and Ray, or I don't know what it's going to be, but I feel like it's going to be pretty obvious tonight. So I don't think.
What are you going? What are you going for the sides tonight? Are you Atlanta -6?
I'm going the boring sides tonight. Atlanta, Minnesota.
Oh, you're going both favorites?
Yeah, I'm going boring tonight.
Okay. I would take the 7 or with the Bears, but I'm with you on Atlanta.
All right. Big T is going boring tonight.
When is JT giving us his winners? Well, we got to push it out of him each week. He shows the pecs off and gives no winners. We need winners. This is your team, Atlanta.
Yeah. No,
you could just tell he's trying to hold it in right now. Can't you tell?
No,
he's trying to hold it in.
I'm not trying to hold anything.
He's got 4 pages of notes and no freaking winners.
I mean, I think so. I think you're right. I think Atlanta defense is the play here. I'm going to be very overweight on the Falcons defense. I think it's interesting to play Atlanta and not have a single Raider. I think that's interesting. I think
could be contrarian too because of how popular some of the people are.
And I know you guys don't like the running backs for the Raiders, but I think it's interesting to play Atlanta with just Sincere because we have seen Antonio Pierce be stubborn and force the run when he's not confident in the quarterback play. And go ahead.
That's a good. The one thing I will say too about both these teams is they both love to run the fuck out of the football. And that game, this could be the game, Tony, where you know how Minnesota starts 30 minutes before this game.
Yep.
We could see them both hit halftime at the same time. Like I could literally see that
the other game
because of how fast the clock's just winding and shit like that. Because both these teams just want to pound the rock. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but I could totally see that happening.
I haven't looked to see if Ritter has a pass attempts prop yet, but I just don't have a feeling, even if they're behind, that they're going to want him to take chances with the football. So I think it's a good slate to be under, especially on the popular Raiders, right? Like you talked about Big T, we'll take chances on Mayer, fine. I think it's a good slate to be under on the popular Raiders, because I just think it's going to be harder for them with the quarterback play.
Passing attempts, Desmond Ritter over under, it's 32.5, and it's juiced to the over.
I don't agree with that, but okay. It's going to depend a lot on the script, though. Let's be honest. Like if Atlanta jumps out, he's going to have to throw it.
That to me just so in my head that screams super high. But the fact that it's juiced to the over is interesing.
I like the under for sure. I'm with JT for the record.
Yeah.
But
I like
behind, he's going to chuck it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. I think they think the script is just they fall behind.
Atlanta's defense is terrible. Well, we're talking both directions. We've done it all.
Yeah.
So but bad, but they're bad.
But let's say Ritter's worse.
Yeah.
Now you have a scenario where he might not get there because he gets benched.
I don't think that's really in play.
I just don't think they have the guys.
They've done it almost every game this season. The Raiders have benched their starting quarterback more than
they don't have
more than the Titans.
But they don't have O'Connell and I just don't think
they're not going anywhere. They're not playing for anything.
That's why I think they're just going to kick the tires a little bit on this dude, even though he's signed.
I think they know their future. I think they know Desmond Ritter is not their future quarterback.
Who else is on the roster though?
It's a practice squad guy.
They signed Carter Bradley. Yeah, Carter Bradley and Jake Luton. We've seen that dude.
I mean, it is It is. It
Ritter's
could be.
playing. They're not benching him.
All right.
We'll
see.
Yeah,
I'm
who the
with you
hell
on
are
a lot of the takes? They're not benching him for those.
no
guys.
way these guys are coming in unless Ritter gets hurt.
You guys, this team, this is what Antonio Pierce has done. I don't know.
I do believe Antonio Pierce is a huge donkey too, so I
Well,
agree with a lot of the stuff you're saying.
That feeds into it, Tony. Look, they signed Desmond Ritter, I think, halfway through the year. He's played in 3 fucking games.
Yeah, I mean they're bad. So
that's it's what I'm saying is not preposterous. It's not insane that Antonio Pierce would be like, this guy can't win it for us. Who's next up? And that guy may be worse. I mean, Jesus.
Is that his rushing prop? 15.5?
why?
It might be. It might be.
Why do you think it's outdoors? Saying I'm playing outdoors.
David.
Perfect conditions, David.
It's in the Algier Stadium dome, whatever.
15.5 seems low, I'll say that.
That seems real low. I agree. Because he's gonna run for sure.
I'm
you
so
can say a lot
confused.
about Ritter. He's a decent runner.
That's what I'm saying though. So his passing attempts I feel are super high, and his
when do we
and
go
his
game
rushing
by
is
game?
All right. Big T's player pool will be up. JSU, you putting a player pool up tonight?
Yeah, my 3-max sheet will be up. Probably in the next 30 minutes or so once we get off.
I got
the
my
show.
stuff up already. That's how confident I am.
Wow,
There you
Big
go.
T's ready to go.
I don't have Showdown up yet, but I got main slate up.
All right. Big T stuff is up. Cores will be up. Everyone will be in Discord talking about.
You know what's not up right now, JT?
I
The
can't.
fucking like button is not up.
Desmond Ritter's noodle is not up.
But we
The
don't.
like button. We need
never
more likes.
We don't talk about the like button anymore. That's why nobody presses it, because they're like, all right, they don't need likes anymore, so they just let it go. So
I mean, come on, people.
Should I be prompting them for likes?
Anytime touchdown. How about Tyler Algier at plus 185?
That's nice.
They just roll him into the end zone 3 straight times from the one.
That's what we agreed on a ton during the show. You hate Cousins and I hate Algier. I think Algier's a terrible play.
He's just cheap, and I don't like running back.
That part I agree with. I just don't think it's going to be out. I mean, I'm sure he's going to score twice.
Dude, he's going to get 3. They love him. He's going to get 3 chances from the one.
He got the first
touchdown. He's going to need to score twice, though, is the issue. But he probably will.
First touchdown, I think it was last week. Speaking of the like button, hit the like. We're not leaving until we get to 500 likes. Just kidding.